Hello to all Cinemaster lovers. Hope you enjoy watching. Let's get started. In 28 days later, a highly contagious virus called Rage is accidentally unleashed in the UK, turning people into rabid, zombie-like creatures. The story begins with Jim, a bicycle courier who wakes up from a coma in a hospital to find London completely abandoned and in chaos. As he explores, he encounters Selena and Mark, two survivors, and learns that the virus has wiped out most of the population. Together, they make their way across the country in search of safety, but they soon come across a group of soldiers who promise them protection in an isolated military compound. However, they quickly realize that the soldiers have their own sinister motives. The survivors face not only the infected, but also the danger posed by the soldiers' brutal actions. As the virus spreads, the survivors must navigate both the external threat of the infected and the internal threat of human nature, ultimately finding a sliver of hope when they signal for rescue. The film explores themes of survival, isolation, and the fragility of humanity in a world overrun by chaos. At the beginning of the film, screens display scenes of violence, where a monkey is shackled in front of the screens, another is imprisoned, and another is mutilated, in a scene that reflects the atmosphere of the research lab. In this place, three children, two boys and a girl, who show sympathy for the monkey's condition. Suddenly, one of them turns around to find a scientist standing behind them, who was trying to warn them quickly, but he was caught by them. The scientist told them that the monkeys were infected with the rabies virus, but they didn't believe him. Then, one of the girls opened the door for one of the monkeys, which attacked her and bit her. At that moment, they didn't believe the scientist, and what happened next was that they all turned into zombies. After 28 days, we see a person named Jim waking up from his coma in a hospital. He discovers that the door to his room is locked, and feeling bewildered by the situation, he finds the key under the door, takes it to unlock and exit. He finds the hospital devoid of people, so he starts searching the corridors, but he doesn't find anyone. During his search, he discovers a refrigerator full of soft drinks, drinks several cans, puts the remaining cans in a bag, then leaves the hospital and continues on his way. Along the way, he finds money scattered on the ground, collects it, and puts it in the bag, hoping to use it in the future to become rich. After he finished collecting the money, he continued on the road and found a wall dedicated to the missing, but there was no useful information there. He goes to a place that resembles a house, where he discovers a sea of scattered corpses. When he called out, "Hello!" half of the corpses started moving towards him, so he ran away from the zombies. At that moment, two masked individuals saw him and blew up the zombies, giving him a chance to escape. They took him to a supermarket where he met two people, Selena, a girl, and Mark, a young man, who explained the details of the virus to him. Selena told him that the virus is transmitted through blood, and if zombie blood enters the body, the person will immediately turn into a zombie. Selena and Mark also told him that their families had died, and they hinted that his family might have met the same fate. However, Jim refused to believe it and insisted that his family lived in Richford and that they might still be alive. So he decided to go to them. Selena tried to calm him down and asked him to wait until the next morning so they could go together. The next day, they went together to Richford to discover that Jim's parents had committed suicide after his sister's death. Jim mourned the loss of his family, but Selena comforted him by saying, "May God grant you patience." Then she suggested that they sleep in this place because it was late, and it would be safer for them to stay together. They all slept in that place except for Jim, who was reminiscing about the past. While he was reminiscing, two zombies entered through the window, and he realized they were his neighbors who had been infected by the virus. Selena and Mark got rid of them, but Mark was bitten by one of the zombies, which forced Selena to kill him. She also gave Jim some tissues to clean himself and asked him to change his clothes. They left the house, and while they were on the way, Jim asked Selena how she knew that Mark had contracted the virus. She replied that she only knew after it was clear on his face. While they were walking down the road, Jim noticed a lit house, so he suggested to Selena that they head towards it. And when they arrived at the house, they discovered that there was a stranger in the upstairs. The man, who was named Frank, asked them to go to apartment number 157, where they entered and met Frank and his daughter Hannah. In this house, there was a water shortage, as Frank tried to shave his beard without water, which caused him to cut himself. After that, they discovered that the roof of the house was filled with empty barrels, and Frank said they wouldn't be able to stay there for long due to the lack of water. As time passed, they began to feel the need to leave, and they heard on the radio about a cure for the virus in Manchester. The group decided to head to Manchester despite Selena's objections, who was worried for their lives. But Jim and Frank convinced her that staying in their current location would lead to their death due to the lack of food and water. They all left in Frank's car, and on the way, they faced many difficulties. When they entered a tunnel, they found it blocked by cars, so they had to pass through the broken-down vehicles but they were surprised when a tire exploded. While they were changing the tire, they were surprised by hordes of rats fleeing from the zombies. After they managed to fix the wheel, they continued on their way, stopped at a mall to get supplies, gathered a lot of materials, and then headed to a fuel truck to fill it with gasoline. After this stop, Jim discovered a zombie child in a burger restaurant, so he killed it using a baseball bat. They continued on their way to a park, where they rested for a while. At that moment, they felt comfortable and reassured, but Frank decided they would spend the night there because it was getting late. However, they discovered that Selena had been trying to put them to sleep with a sedative, and after Jim woke up in the morning, he found that they had all disappeared, leaving him in a state of confusion and screaming, but there was no answer. Jim woke up to find Frank in front of him and said to him, "What is this? Man, this is just a nightmare." Then Jim woke up again to find everyone in the car asking him, "Are you coming with us or should we leave you?" They took him with them until they reached Manchester. And there was the surprise. The city was destroyed and there was no one there. Frank felt sad and sat aside, but he noticed a crow eating from the corpse of a dead zombie, and he heard a sound coming from it. Frank tried to hit the door hard, but a drop of blood from the zombie fell into Frank's eye, and in his last words to his daughter, he said, "I love you." Selena, when she saw him, told Jim to kill him, and when Jim tried to kill him, he was surprised to find that he had been hit by more than 5 bullets, and when he looked at the killer, he discovered that they were armed soldiers, so they were taken to a safe place where they were greeted by General Henry, who allowed them to take a shower and introduced Jim to the place. And he told him that the place was extremely safe and that they'd tie up the zombies to keep them as evidence of their daily lives without food. They also prepared a feast for them, but the eggs were rotten. After that, they heard a warning alarm about zombies coming towards them. They took the weapons from under the table and went to confront the zombies. Selena, who was tense from the situation, held her sword and kept watching the door, while the soldiers managed to eliminate the zombies, then returned to the house. And on the way back, one of the soldiers found Selena holding the sword, so he took the sword from her and attacked her. Jim tried to stop him, but the soldiers pushed him, and he fell to the ground. After that, General Henry struck the soldier who was attacking Selena, then took Jim to the room and told him the shocking truth. There is no cure for the infection, and his soldiers have been depressed due to the death of their loved ones. He assured them that he had promised to marry them all and establish a new human lineage. After Jim learned what was happening, he ran to Hannah and Selena's room to escape, but during their attempt to flee, one of the soldiers intercepted them and beat Jim until he lost consciousness. Jim woke up to find himself and Selena in a locked room, and the next day, they were taken to a place where people were being killed. While one soldier accidentally killed another, Jim seized the opportunity and hid among the corpses. The soldiers thought Jim had escaped, so they ran after him to find him having climbed a wall, but his t-shirt got caught in the barbed wire, and he fell to the ground. Jim looked up at the sky and saw a plane flying, but when the soldiers saw the t-shirt on the wall, they thought they were done. One of them said, "He is not alive. He has no car and no weapon." The soldiers returned home, and in an attempt to force Selena and Hannah to change their clothes and wear beautiful outfits because they were planning their wedding. In the meantime, Selena offered Hannah narcotic pills because she was refusing to marry, and they feared she might kill herself. Then they heard another alarm and discovered that Jim was still alive. General Henry went with one of his soldiers to the place where Jim was, and when they arrived, Jim killed the soldier who was with Henry, seized his weapon, and cut the car wire. He took some of it and ran to the house where the soldiers, Selena and Hannah, were. They were trying to start the car, but it was broken down and the zombies were approaching. Jim ran with Selena and Hannah to the house, and when they arrived, Jim untied the bound zombie. The zombie attacked one of the soldiers who got infected with the virus. While the soldiers were killing the zombies one by one, Jim managed to take Selena and Hannah and escape with them. When they reached the car, Henry was waiting for them, so he shot Jim, but Hannah managed to escape in the car and survive. As time passed, the zombies began to die from hunger, and Jim woke up to find the curtains that were in the house had disappeared, and he found Selena sewing them together. And when they heard that a plane was coming to them, they thought of using the curtains to form the word hello in English. Indeed, the plane saw the curtains and came to their rescue. If you liked the video, subscribe to the channel and activate the notification button to get more new videos.